what's up? Dude, I gotta tell you the gnarliest story, man. So just the other night, right? I'm like knee deep in underground metal bands, you know, like Metallica, AC/DC, Iron Maiden. Oh, there was like this super underground group I found called like Motorhead. But then I came across something really interesting, man. I found this label called Transcending Obscurity. Do not disrupt the air. Wait, no, man. Seriously, you gotta hear about. No. Do you feel it around us? The ambiance. The ambiance? I don't get it. Don't you feel it just wrapping you up in a warm blanket and making sure that everything is gonna be okay? Aren't your thoughts and emotions in a unified cohesion, endlessly brisking your worries away into a far, far away place? Man, that shit. Listen to this. Oh my god. My work here is done. Oh shit. Hey guys, how's it going? If I were to ask you, which countries have the best heavy metal? You could probably give me all sorts of answers. Maybe your home country comes to mind, or maybe established global scenes like the US, Canada, Germany, Poland, Indonesia, the UK. But what you probably aren't expecting me to say is India. That's right, India has a crazy ass scene and they have tons of awesome death, black metal, grindcore, and punk bands over there. But I think one of the best things to come out of this scene is a label known as Transcending Obscurity Records. There's a lot to get into here with tons of music, so I'm not gonna really make this intro longer than it needs to be. I just want to get into the music. So Transcending Obscurity Records released tons of amazing things in 2020, and I'm gonna explain to you how they dominated that year. So we're gonna begin here with their first standout death metal release, an EP known as Apocalypse from a band called Colosso. Colosso hails from Oporto, Portugal, and they have a tin can under the ocean crushing atmosphere that will completely drain all the energy from your body. This isn't death metal in a traditional sense. I think the pacing is that more of a doom metal style, but it does not lose its speed or intensity, and it builds all the suspense to create these multiple layers of brutal that coincide in this ultimate vibe. The vibe kicks off right away with the first track, Pestilence. Colosso, as you'll see, does rely a lot on heavy, distorted, sort of dissonant harmonies and a lot of wanky technical playing, but as I listened to Apocalypse more and more, these elements came together for me. Even the vocals that aren't that flashy, they did actually provide a very menacing tone to the whole thing, so they fit. Not to mention, the 4 songs on this EP, Pestilence, War, Death, and Famine, are of course themed after the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Now, given this context, each song actually has its own theme, and they all come together, but they're all separate songs at the same time. Overall, a pretty good listen. I would recommend this EP to anyone with an open mind. The next group just absolutely has to be Henry fucking Kane. Wait, no, that sounded wrong. Henry is not fucking Kane. That's... just roll the clip. Now this is actually a one-man project. Yeah, one guy did all this shit, but it is fronted by a Swedish legend, Johnny Peterson. I cannot possibly give this man the hails that he deserves in this video, but for those who don't know, Johnny Peterson is in multiple incredible groups. Among them are Berserker Legion, Ash Cloud, Massacre, Heads for the Dead, which we're gonna get to in a second. Now Henry Kane, aptly named after the character in the movie Poltergeist, is a three-piece devastation combo of death metal, grindcore, and crust punk. If you enjoy any of the crazy-ass sounds coming out of bands like Napalm Death or Discharge or any amount of Swedish old-school death metal, you will love this album, Age of the Idiot. Doesn't that just want to make you like... The absolutely relentless speed on this album is so satisfying because Henry Kane holds back no punches. It basically combines the best and catchiest tropes of all those three genres and puts them all into this one carousel of brutality. I also do appreciate the short length of these songs, you know? There's enough to keep you satisfied, but the sort of like bursts of energy that each track has really adds to all the crazy. But then there's also tracks like Entrenched in Nihilism, which can go for more abrasive soundscapes. So I can't recommend Henry Kane more than that. If you're just getting into Transcending Obscurity Records, or maybe if you want to check out Peterson's other musical endeavors, this is a great place to start. Check it out. Peterson, once again, like I mentioned, he's in another band signed to Transcending Obscurity Records called Heads for the Dead. I'm motionless, abandoned by heaven. Oh yeah, it just keeps getting better. Wow, wow, we will. Heads for the Dead is a relatively fresh band, only 4 years young, and they actually came out with their debut, Serpent's Curse, on Transcending Obscurity as well in 2018. This second album we're looking at here, Into the Red, is the ultimate amalgamation of all things incredible that these guys are able... Oh wait, I didn't even mention who's in this band. This lineup already calls for the end of times. Not only do we have Peterson on deck doing most of the instruments, but we also have Rolf Haber from Revel in Flesh doing vocals, and Ed Warby on drums, who's been in many bands like Gorefest or Hail of Bullets. Heads from the Dead is a horror-themed death metal band, so the playing style is both extremely intense and fast, but also contains plenty of the atmosphere for the slower, more doomier interludes. You can expect Satan levels of riffing with tons of variety and creative, dissonant harmonies. Production on here is absolutely huge. I swear this is the same guy from Mad Max on the drums. And while I already know that Rolf Haber is an excellent vocalist, he seriously pulls out everything he's got. Oh my god, again, that sounded so wrong. The low gutturals from him are great, but that high-pitched shriek that he does sometimes on the album, man, it sounds demonic. Glenn Benton, eat your heart out. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say. Easily one of my favorite death metal releases of 2020. Moving on from that, we're gonna go to one of my favorite countries when it comes to death metal, motherfucking Italy. And this time we have a super creative ensemble of guys known as Hateful. Now, Hateful has actually been around since 1997. They actually have demos dating back to the early 2000s. Okay, now the first thing that came to mind when I heard this, you ready? Hour of Penance without the brutal and technical brutal death metal. I know that's an ignorant opinion, but to be absolutely fair, both bands are from the same country, and the vocals from Hateful are a bit like Paulo Pieri. It's that same raspy, guttural-like yell. Now these guys definitely know how to create that all the instruments clashing around you at once vibe without sounding too chaotic. There still is a cohesion to all of this tech death madness. Breaking the compositions down a bit further, the band does pay ode to their origins. There's a lot of hints of Tampa style death metal, some Swedish melodeath, and there's even a little bit of that technical brutal death metal troping that we see in Hideous Divinity or Hour of Penance. These elements serve as the skeleton, while the technicality is laced in between all that to provide a sporadic, almost jazzy-like energy to the music. Also, just as a side note, Daniel Lupidi, who does bass, vocals, and guitars for Hateful, he's also in another band called Valgrind, and it seems like he's the only founding member of this band still. So yeah, if you want some tech death that's different and borrows from multiple different spectrums of metal, this is the band for you. And to close off, I'm going to give you guys two more releases, 2 EPs to be exact, starting off with a US outfit called Sarcoptes and their EP Plague Hymns. Oh my Satan, was I surprised by this. Plague Hymns is a harrowing experience that puts you in an absolute state of misery, but your head's still banging. These guys are fast as hell, no pun intended. I'm hearing a lot of Deicide influence on the first track, Vertigo Soul, especially in terms of the riffing and the high screams. They have that early Glenn Benton demonic-like quality, and they sound fucking bestial. The fears of abuse and torturous screams drown in visions of blood and the cavernous graves. The drums are also relentlessly fast. There's enough double bass work and blast beating to make the earth shake on this EP. The band is also not shy to expand their atmosphere. There's a nice interlude with some synths in the background that remind me of like a slower Morbid Angel song, and then there's a melodic bridge that works really well with the rest of the sounds. But the real kicker here is the second track, La Moria Grandissima, and it is a black metal anthem. Now, if I were to compare early Dark Funeral, the eerie atmosphere combined with the church organs, the wretched howling, and the subtle hints of melodic black metal make this an epic track. La Moria Grandissima is actually the term used for the Black Death or the Scourge, and given this context, the themes of death and suffering become alive. The band actually does pay proper tribute to this tragic historical event. It is a 11-minute song, and it goes through all of the elements that the Scourge brought upon humanity: pain, loss, desolation, mass panic. The track, to me anyway, is meant to symbolize how frail humans can be given a mass pandemic situation. I am super pumped to see what Sarcoptes is going to come up with next, but this EP along with their previous album should give you plenty to lament over. And finally, ending off with a Canadian band, we have Atrae Bilis with their EP Divinihility. Now Now this band is, unsurprisingly enough, from Vancouver. It's almost like Beyond Creation started this freaking legacy of progressive technical death metal bands there. And although these guys do borrow a lot of that technical progressive death metal style, it's not really the sole focus on this EP. The riffs and how they progress in the songs are often layered with tons of dissonant rhythms and other things when they aren't crushing your skull. An example of this, and in my opinion the best song on the EP, Ectopian, the track starts off with a chunky, can-crushing, death-train riff with the lead guitar doing most of the work, those deep gutturals paired up with it, nice. But then, the track gets mellow and the guitars provide more of a smooth pace while the drums lightly tap all over the place. And then it goes back. This, combined with the variety in the vocals, make for a great listen. Upon the Shoulders of Havayoth, for example, features some nice toilet bowl gutturals, and throughout the album there's a distinct high scream that adds an awesome punch when it appears. Atrae Bilis is now signed to $20 spin, but you can still get this on Transcending Obscurity Records. And if you don't, I mean, you should just be fucking ashamed of yourself. That's a joke. But this label's quantity and quality is not. Transcending Obscurity Records has the entire spectrum of metal on their roster. I mean, I could talk about this shit forever. In the next part, I'll take a look at some of the doom metal they got, among other things. So that's all for today. Support bands and become fans. Hails. Veritas is asking for rights, so I had to improvise. Bye.